I really would like to thank Treehouse for playing tonight. They're my favorite band. And it's not just because my lady artist is in it. But, Terry writes really good songs. Matt writes, all these songs are like originals. They're just beautiful. If you take the time to listen to them, they're just really worth loving. So I'm going to go ahead and read this. As a producer, I've learned that I really suck. It used to be back in the old days, I would go down to the Mech, and 20 years ago when we were building this, and I go meet everybody at the happy hour and go, hey man, we're going to build a timber frame. You guys ought to come out. And we'd have like 40 people out here on a Saturday, and we'd raise this thing, and then like I said, we never really knew what it was for. I was taking care of my mom with Alzheimer's at the time. And nowadays, with email and cell phones and stuff, I've made about 12 calls in the last year on the phone. And email, I did that for a couple years, 10 years ago, and then it became difficult. So anyway,
record button's right there. So it's already
Bradley has a Folly Facebook account for the Folly, which I've never been on Facebook, so I don't really know what it looks like. But I ended up writing this thing for it a month ago or so, and sat down one day and did what I did, and put it on Facebook. So anyway, Arna thought I should read it to you, so I will. It was 20 years ago today, Sgt. Pepper's told the band to play. Oh no, wrong fable. It was 20 years ago, July 30th, that Aggie's Alzheimer's led the way for the timber frame Folly to be raised that day. Oh no, this sort of sucks. Okay, let's keep it going and see what comes next. Yeah, it was 20 years ago, July 30th. 50 or so intrepid souls, mostly Shepherdstown folks, stood in the warm morning sun with ropes and pike poles in hand, anxiously awaiting the command to lift. The almost 1-ton red heart pine timber frame bent that lay pre-assembled at our feet. The massive wall was fastened together with age-old traditional method, hand tool crafted tenon and mortise joinery, and held with wooden pegs called trenils or tree nails. The timbers themselves were going on their third incarnation. First as trees in the forest, second as a couple 100-year-old barn on a farm, what is now Country Club Road out by Charlestown. And third, whatever this was going to be at the feet we're about to erect. Kudos to Bradley and the Sanders Museum service crew for finding the time, energy, and most important, the will to take the dangerous task of disassembling a barn and recycling those wonderful timbers. They don't grow them like that anymore. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, lift. And as 20 pairs of hands strained, the massive frame rose in a fluid motion past the knees. Hello and goodbye to the navel, up and over the shoulders, and with arms extended, about 7 feet, the first line of pike pole people moved forward and stuck the points of their 8-foot poles into the bent, continuing their upward motion. At about 45 degrees into the lift, the second line of 12-foot pike poles bit into the frame. Simultaneously, the front rope lines slowly pulled to help out. At 3/4 lift, the 16-foot pike poles entered the scene, taking the bent almost vertically as back lines ropes became taut, keeping the entire wall from crashing down on the other side, which would be a bummer. So basically what we're talking about here is that whole side of this wall was laying on the ground, and we had like 20 people pick it up.
What?
Huh?
You're not projecting.
All right. Looking up 20 feet at the top of the king post and down midway to the timber braces formed in what I considered the Celtic wheel of life, and seemed to say, look what you all have done. And when someone shouted with glee, we did it. Yes, we did. So we raised the other bent with that same can-do aplomb, and the two bents held together with peg timber connecting girt, and there you have it. 3 months of foreplay for a 1-hour erection. But what's it for? Is it art? There's no roof. Won't it rot? I didn't know. It had been timber frame therapy, a tonic, an antidepressant up against my mom's Alzheimer's, which had been dealing with for over a year with no end in sight. I hadn't thought about a roof, and we were out of materials. Roger made me do it. In the previous 4 years, Roger Nair and I had helped design, lay out, cut, and erect 3 timber frame houses and 3 barns, and we were getting pretty good at it until Mom's illness hit. And while Mom and I worked on the Folly, Roger was working on Hurley's Great Hall, a beautiful frame. But he still had time to talk me into felling 14 small poplar trees off the land in Shannondale, plus a large poplar for the ridge beam and rafters. So all that stuff up there, Roger made me do it. And also, when you're felling trees, always remember to say a prayer or blessing, thanking it for the giving of its fluids for our endeavor, and may its spirit dwell within our dwelling. Remember, all life has soul. It is not good to ignore. So, friends and community effort makes for good therapy. So Roger and I transported the poplar logs to the building site, offloaded them on sawhorses, and we looked at the logs and we figured all the prep work involved, and we started drinking beer and didn't stop until the next morning. We're getting too old for this. But lo and behold, try to build it and they will come. Dozens of local folks, young, old, show up to help. Remove the bark with draw knives, flatten one side of the rafters with an adze, cut the tenons, shape the ridge beam, make the mortises, rig lifting jacks and come-alongs, and raise and set 400-pound, 24-foot top plates and ridge beam, set rafters in place, hand by hand, with the help of a dozen volunteers. You all should remember who you are, and thanks again. I should thank the guys who built the cupola, which is the thing on the top here, and for dropping off the recycled slate roof for which me and my lady artist had applied in 2005 after removing the 10-year-old leaking temporary roof in the nick of time. And so with the help of each other, we built us a Folly, a structure with no stated purpose. From the destructive chaos of Aggie's Alzheimer's grew the offshoot of random elements and gathering of free souls with tools and materials and with a semi-self of purpose. Sense of purpose. Which blossomed into the Timber Frame Folly motto, creative chaos for the common good. Also, I'd like to thank all the musicians, theater groups, poets, storytellers, circus folks, aerial dancers, craftspeople, marriage parties, fundraisers, chefs and cooks, gaffers, groundskeepers, fire basket tenders, green building workshop participants, crone, throne, and trebuchet builders, and the hundreds of people behind the scenes that made these events possible over the years and gave the Timber Frame Folly its sense of purpose. Keep the fire baskets burning!